Okay, nice challenging Gemara for an Erev Shabbos. So Halt Kaf. Going back to the Mishnah on Chav Ches Amid Aleph, going back to that Mishnah, Nishmar Kadei B'Shus Rabim, if the Kad breaks in B'Shus Rabim, the Huchluk Echa B'Mayim, and one slips on the water, Oishalaka B'Charsis, or gets damaged by the broken shards of the earthenware, Chayev, Yechayev. Rabbi Yehuda Omar b'miskavim chayiv be'ena miskavim potter. So it's mashma that the Tanakama does not make a distinction between mechavin and ve'en mechavin. He says simply that yechayev. He said yechayev, and Rabbi Yehuda is making a distinction. B'miskavin yechayev, ein miskavin yepotter. So the question is, first of all, let's say the Tanakama is Reb Meir. It'll work better in the Gemara. And Stam, the bar plukta of Rabbi Yehuda is Reb Meir. And secondly, where exactly is this case of miskavin? What is this machlok? It's very ambiguous. Miskavin for what? What was Rabbi Yehuda miskavin for? So again, like Reb Meir, no distinction between miskavin and miskavin. Like Rabbi Yehuda, miskavin chayiv, a miskavin potter. What was his kavana over here? So that's going to be the first part of the daf, guys. Okay? So now we're on Amid, Chav Ches Amid Beis. We're about 9-10 lines off from the bottom. Rabbi Yehuda oimer miskavin chayiv. Hechi davim miskavin. What exactly is the case of miskavin that yechayev and a miskavin yepotter? First attempt. Amar Rabba. B'miskavin lo hayrido lemata miksefai. He went ahead and when he was lowering it from his shoulder, and he should have been more careful, right? And he should have been more careful, and therefore, when it broke, that kavana to bring it down would create the bar and it'd be chayiv. Masha'en kain, if it was not miskavein, he was just walking along, he tripped and it fell, then what? Then he would be what? He would be potter. Then it would be potter. Why would that be? Because we'll say that niskal lav paisheyahu, that when a person trips, he's not considered a pshia. So the chiyuv over here, fellas, was I paisheya in creating this bar or not? If I was paisheya, I'm chayiv. If I wasn't paisheya, I'm potter. So let's go through this. Like Rabbi Yehuda, miskave means I was bringing it down, and therefore it broke while bringing it down. That's paisheya. Mashein came, if I was just walking along and I tripped and it broke, then I'd be potter. Because niskal lav paisheya. Light Rebbe, therefore now light Reb Meir, no difference miskavin, a miskavin, because niskal is paisheya. And even if it broke in your hands, you'll be chayiv. In other words, light Reb Meir, it seems that there's no patur of einus over here. I'm walking along and I'm carrying a pitcher of water. All of a sudden, a crack appears in the water, begins to leak. I did nothing. Like Reb Meir, I'd be chayiv. Like Rabbi Yehuda, you'd be potter, because you weren't miskavim for anything. That apparently is the machlokes. The flaw in the machlokes is that Reb Meir is going to say, ba'onis, you're potter. So therefore, it can't be the pshat in the Mishnah. Good? That's the attempted pshat. And the question on the pshat is, like Reb Meir, you're saying the oinus is chayiv, this oinus will be potter. You'll say, adam muad la'olam. Why do we say, oinus gomer? Remember Taisus, guys. By oinus gomer, you'll be potter. I'm walking along, the barrel cracks. What did I do? I did nothing. I didn't leave it on the ground. I didn't put it in a place where it could have broken. It simply broke in my hands. What can I do? It's an oinus gomer. So l'chayra, that is the pshat in the Mishnah, and that is the kash in the Mishnah. So again, says Reb Meir, no difference in miskavin, ain't miskavin. Says Reb Yehuda, miskavin chayiv, miskavin potter. Underlying the machlokes would be what? Whether niskal is paisheya or lav paisheya, where a person falls or not is paisheya or not. Like Reb Meir, if I would fall, I'd be paisheya. The act of tripping is paisheya. Like Rabbi Yehuda, the act of tripping is not paisheya. So if the act of tripping is not paisheya, how could I be chayiv? And the answer is where I was what? I was paisheya in not watching the way I put the barrel down. Like Rabbi Yehuda, if I don't watch, it doesn't make sense. Like Rabbi Yehuda, if I would watch and it would break, I'd be potter. Like Rabbi Meir be chayiv. What's the problem? It's mashmei Rabbi Meir would say you'd be chayiv for oinus gomer, Rabbi is going to see a brisa where Rabbi says you're potter from minus gomer. That's the first part we're about to do. Says the Gemara. Rabbi Huda oimem miskabin chayev heichidami miskabin amarabba b'miskabin lo heridam lemata miksefer. He was going to put it below his shoulder, and he was paisheya. Amalei abayim mechal de mechayev Reb Meir afil nifshara. Reb Meir would be chayev even if it melted in his hands. Amalei in mechayev Reb Meir afilu osnai biyadai. If he's walking along and he's carrying the pitcher, and he ends up, it just happened to be here, and he ends up what, with the ear of the pitcher in his hands, the whole thing falls down. You'd be chayev. Read the Gemara. I got a problem with that. Am I honest too? Guys, you can say Adam Mud Lo'ilam, not by Yonis Gama, right? Look at a little quick glance at Taisus. The second Taisus in the bottom. V'oinis Rachmana Patre, Umipetza Tachas Potza, where we learned that Adam Mud Lo'ilam, Loimar bin an Oinis Gomer. We didn't learn that Oinis Gomer as we saw openly in that Taisus, guys, right? So therefore, we read the Gemara. Am I honest who? Even if he is holding it, it's an honest. Why should he be chayiv? If she was forced by another man, right, and therefore she didn't acquiesce to the person's advancement, and therefore she should be pata because she's an honest. The chitemi, you'll say hani milin katala. That's only killing the girl. That she's an honest. For what? For anos. So now, guys, this is important, very important now. We're going to bring a brisa that mirrors the Mishnah. We're going to bring a brisa that mirrors the Mishnah. And in the brisa, we're going to see that Reb Meir holds that oinis gomer is potter. And therefore, we're going to have to redo pshat in our Mishnah because we won't have pshat. It's very important to get the brisa because the daf is going to explain that brisa. Says the Gemara. But Tanya, here's the brisa. Nishmra kadoi v'lei silkai. Good. Naflu gamloi v'lei hamidoi. Either his cod broke and he didn't clean it up, the content, the water. His camel went down and he didn't pick up the camel. Remeya mechayev behezekon. The chachamim oimrim pata medina yadam mechayev medina shemayim. Be pata medina yadam mechayev medina shemayim because he didn't clean it up. Here's what we need. Umoide chachamim l'Reb Meir. If you left them at the top of a roof, for nafla guys, beruach mitsuya, behezekoi, shuchayev. That's paisheya, guys. The Chachamim who said that nishbra kadai v'gamla yepata, that's only what the Chachamim say yepatim diniyadam v'chayim nishamayim. It only would be if you were not paisheya. But if you are paisheya, like leaving your bricks on top of your roof where wind can come along and blow it into Rishus Harabim, the Chacham would be moided to Reb Meir that you'd be chayiv for that bar. And here's what we need. Umoide Reb Meir l'Rabbanon, b'mayla kankanim al agag, al manas l'nagva, you made some barrels, earthenware barrels, you want to dry them out, so you're going to put them on your roof. The nafla, guys, and here's the key. Ruach she'ena mitzuya. What's that called, guys? Ruach she'ena mitzuya? An honest gomer, right? That's called an honest gomer. Fehezikai shehu pater. Who said this? Umayda Reb Meir, in this mitzias you'd be pater. So what do you see? Reb Meir would say you pater. So what's the difference of a ruach she'ena mitzuya or all of a sudden this pitcher breaking in my hands and I'm left? So memela, that can't be pshat in our Mishnah. Memela, that can't be pshat in our Mishnah. Again, we're going to go the main idea, if you have in the blackboard, the aim of the share is to find out what is the machlokes in the Mishnah, where Rabbi said Yechayiv sai miskaven ain't miskaven, and Rabbi Yehuda said you only chayiv miskaven and you're not mechayiv. You attempted to say that what it's speaking about when he put it down, and there was paisheya by putting it down. That's not the machlokes. So therefore, what is the machlokes? Guys, you good? We're looking pshat. What is pshat in our Mishnah? Ella, Amar Abaya, Ella, dead end. Amar Abaya, bitarti pligi. There's two machlokes in our Mishnah. There's two. Pligi b'shas nefila, upligi la'ach nefila. Now, what does b'shas nefila mean, fellas? Take a look at Taisus quickly. D'loremeya pesheyahu, chayiv kol kama, d'loyhabile pinoi l'salik, kari shas nefila. I didn't have time to go ahead and clean it up. I didn't have time to clean it up. That's called b'shas nefila. So it doesn't have to do damage right away. It could be within 10 minutes. Listen, with the cleanup, the damage takes place before I can possibly clean it up. That's b'shas nefila. Achan nefila means the damage takes place after I could have cleaned it up. So now we have two machlokes. Good? So in other words, guys, let's go through it. If the damage took place b'shas nefila, Rabbi says I'm chayiv, Rabbi Yehuda says I'm potter. If the damage takes place after nefila, then the machlokes is there as well. So let's see. Elam Rabbi b'tarti pligi b'shas nefila, pligi lach nefila, pligi b'shas nefila, b'niskal pesheya. B'shas nefila, that's a machlokes where the niskal pesheya. Masava, Rabbi is of the opinion niskal pesheya who that niskal is pesheya, and therefore I'm chayiv. Right now, even though I didn't have a chance to clean it up, the fact that it's created was an act of pshia. Since the fact of creating it was an act of pshia, I'm chayiv. Says Rabbi Yehuda, right? Umasava niskal lav pesheyahu, and masava niskal lav pesheya. Okay, so therefore, what's pshat miskavein? Go, guys. Look down the Gemara. Count the Gemara lines down. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 5 lines down, and you'll see it says v'hachi kam Rabbi Yehuda in Rashi. You see the hachi kam Rabbi Yehuda in Rashi? Where the lines get thin in Rashi, count down 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 7 lines down. V'hachi kama Rabbi Yehuda b'miskaven l'shoivra. If you're miskaven to break it, v'he'zika b'nefila, and it does damage b'shas nefila, then chayiv. U'b'she'ei miskaven el miskaven lo ha'irida mikseifoy. You wanted to bring it down from your shoulder, v'niskal, and you tripped, v'nishmer then pota, v'niskal lav posheyahu, u'behesek lav nefila. We're going to see in a second what that means. Okay, so guys, let's fill in the boxes. Loit Reb Meir, no different miskavin, no different eina miskavin. There is no difference whatsoever, right? Why? Because since niskal posheya, when I fell, I'm chayiv right away. The damage, I didn't have time to clean it up. You didn't have time to clean it up. You should have been careful in its creation. You are pesheya that you tripped. Reb Yehuda, 1 second. I hold niskal lav pesheya. So if you want to bring it down from your shoulder, right, and it breaks, then you're not chayiv. Niskal lav pesheya. What does miskaven mean? I'm miskaven to break it. I go ahead, I take it, and I break it. Miskaven to break it, then I'm pesheya in that. Nothing to do with my tripping or not. I created it. Says Rabbi Yehuda in the Mishnah, b'miskaven I be chayiv. If I had kavanah to break it, then I'm chayiv. Ain't a kavanah to break it, but it broke because I tripped. Pata niskal lav pesheya. That's the pshat in the Mishnah, according to again. Abai says it's two machlokes. This is pshat in the part of b'shas nefila. So again, there's part A and part B. We are learning part A. What's part A? Machlokes b'shas nefila, meaning as soon as it happens, from the time it happened till the time I could clean it up, 10 minutes later. We have machlokes in that window if you chayiv a pata. Says Reb Meir, no matter what, you chayiv. No matter what, no matter how it happened, you chayiv. Why? Because niskal lav pesheya. If you tripped and it broke, you chayiv. You're not an einus. Niskal lav pesheya. Says Reb Meir, Reb Yehuda, no, it depends. Niskal pesheya, excuse me. Reb Meir holds niskal pesheya. According to the Reb Yehuda, niskal lav pesheya. Therefore, if I tripped and it broke, that's eina miskaven. What is miskaven? I didn't trip. I had kavanah was to break it. Kavanah to break it, then you chayiv. That's the first pshat in part A. What's part B? In other words, afterwards, I had time to clean it up, and it fell an hour ago. I had plenty of time to clean it up. Now, what's the second machlokes? Pligi la'achan nefila, and they argue after nefila. B'mafka nizakav. If a person is mafka, okay, this fell, right? This fell, and it's out there it's lying there. I'm mafka it. I don't want anything to do with it anymore. Am I chayiv or not? Mafka nizakav, am I chayiv or not? Mas savar, Rabbi is of the opinion, mafka nizakav would be chayiv. Umas savar potter. And Masav would be potter. Good. Now we have to learn over here the Gemara will address where's the miskaven and a miskaven by mafkin nezakav. Again, remember, there's part A and part B, and within each part there is machlokes Rabbi Meir and Rabbi Yehuda. In Rabbi Yehuda himself, there's the chilek between miskaven and a miskaven. Good. What's the miskaven and a miskaven after nefila? I fell down, it's broken, right? I fell down, it broke. Like Rabbi Meir, I'm chayiv. Mafkin, even if I'm mafkin nezakav, even I wasn't paisheya, guys. Let's say I had a chance to clean it up, and I didn't. You're still chayiv. Like Rabbi Yehuda, it depends. Miskaven yechayiv, ain't a miskaven yepata. What's the miskaven, ain't miskaven if the nefila? And we'll see that Be'ez Hashem. The question is, how did Abaye know in our Mishnah and the Brisa, because the Brisa is mirroring the Mishnah, that there was two machlokes in b'shas nefila, ach nefila? So go back to the Mishnah. I'll show you. Go back to the Mishnah. What does it say in the Mishnah? Nishbra kadai b'shus harabim v'huchlach echa b'mayim v'sheloka b'charsis. Why do you tell me two cases? Case one, you tripped in the water, and case two, you went ahead, and you got hurt on the pieces. Why are you telling me two cases, guys? Obviously, you tripped on the water, must be speaking when? B'shas nefila, when you had time to clean it up. What about you get broken, you get damaged by the broken pieces? That's speaking where I was mafkir the broken pieces. I was mafkir it. So that's how the Mishnah, when the Mishnah gave two cases, that's how Abaye knew it was speaking about two separate cases, that two separate mitzvahs. Okay. Okay. Says the Gemara. Umemai. How do you know our Mishnah is speaking two separate cases? Midiktani tarti huchluk echad b'mayim oishalok b'charsis hainu hach l'cher. It's the exact same case. El olav hachi kamar. Huchluk echad b'mayim b'shas nefila. If he fell in the water b'shas nefila, right? Where was paisheya? Oishalok b'charsis lach nefila. Good. Now, so that's your two cases. Good. Now, what about our brisa? With the masnisan betarti, brisa nami betarti. When the masnisan, our Mishnah was speaking about two separate cases, so it must be that what the brisa also was speaking about two separate cases. La'ach nefila u b'shas nefila. Right. So there. Right. So bishleim akadoi, bishleim the case of the kad, and he didn't go ahead and clean it up. Mishkachas loy oy b'shas nefila alcha nefila. Elegam loy. Guys, yeah, two cases. Guys, look at the brisa. Let's go back to the brisa. Brisa begins on Chav Ches Amid Beis. Amid Beis at the bottom. V'hatanya. Nishbra kadoi v'lei silkoi nafle gam loy v'lei amidu. Now you have to tell me there it's speaking about what? Before b'shas nefila and after nefila, yeah? A and B. What's A? You broke your kad. There I can say, like we did in our Mishnah, the mayim was there right away, that's b'shas nefila. The kad was after nefila, right? In other words, I'm splitting that up into two cases. I broke the kad, it did damage b'shas nefila from the liquid that was in it. It did damage after nefila by me not being mafka to pieces. What's the case of the camel? The camel fell. In the camel? You need two cases. You need the camel before nefila and the camel after nefila. Before nefila, the camel fell. Okay, lach nefila. What's the case over there? What's the case of the camel falling before nefila? Where's the pshi over there? Bishleima after nefila, the camel fell. He died. I didn't get rid of the camel. I had time to call the camel trucking company, right? Truck it out of there, and you didn't. So that's like the pieces lying in Rishus Harabim when I had a chance to clean it up. So I had a chance to remove the camel. But the camel falling, where's the pshi over there? The camel fell. It's nothing to do with you, says the Gemara. Now, okay, and the Gemara says, the Brisa that mirrored our Mishnah is also speaking about two cases. Bishle makadoi mishkachasla Oy b'shas nefila, oy lach nefila. Very good. Elagamloi b'shleim lach nefila mishkachas la b'mafkin neveilasa. The animal fell, the camel died, and you left it there without getting rid of it. El b'shas nefila hechi mishkachas la. Right? Where do you find that the owner is paisheya? Guys, you're telling me that the owner would be paisheya over there. What's the case? On Ravachak going the Avra b'maya derech shura so denahara. He went ahead and instead of he walked through water, the water turned out to be deeper than he thought, and as a result, the camel fell. In other words, he was paisheya by bringing him to this place. The camel normally doesn't fall. The camel walks in the desert. He walks fine. He says everything's okay. This guy took the camel along the water shore. It turned out to be a place with a deeper, slippery place, and the animal fell. That's the avmir. Says the Gemara, what exactly is this case of walking along with the shoreline? If you could have gone another way, then what? He's a paisheya. This is not the case in Niskel, guys. The case in Niskel is where it tripped and whether machlek is paisheya or not paisheya. Over here, everyone would be moida that he's chayiv right away, right? Everyone would be moida. Chachamim would say he's chayiv. In the Baisa where the Chachamim argue with Rabbi, the Chachamim say you're paisheya. This is not Niskal paisheya. If you could have gone, if you could have driven on through Staten Island Friday afternoon, and you decided to go through the Lincoln Tunnel in the city and 10th Avenue, you're paisheya on yourself, right? As the guys in the car shake their heads, right? You're paisheya on yourself. So how can you go ahead? The Chacham say you potter there. They wouldn't say you potter. The either leka dark and this is the only way you can go. In other words, the Lincoln Tunnel. That's every place is closed. No Lincoln Tunnel. Honestu, you're an honest. So why should he be chayev? Even Reb Meir, why should he be chayev? So Memanav Shach, I have a problem with the way you're zetzing in the Mishnah, the Brisa, part B of the camel. Hey, where do you find the camel b'shas nefila that you're chayev? Ella, you know what it's talking about? Mishkachas la de iskol. You know what Shlemiel and Shlemazel, guys? He's a Shlemiel, he fell. You know what the Shlemazel is? The camel fell over him. Right? Shlemiel and Shlemazel. So that Niskal Paisheya. He was Paisheya by falling, and the camel falling over him. Nimsa, we found the case in the Brisa by the camel of La'ach Nefila, because the camel's dead and he didn't clean it up. B'shas Nefila, that the camel fell over him, and he was Paisheya by falling. Okay, now you said that we said there's two machloikesin, guys, right? There's two machloikesin in the Mishnah. One b'shas nefila, one la'ach nefila. What was the machloikis of Reb Meir and Reb Yehuda was whether it was miskaven or a miskaven, right? Like Reb Meir to make a difference, like Reb Yehuda made a difference. Now you're telling me that this is niskal paisheya la paisheya. So bishlema, in the case of what? Of the first case where it fell and the word b'shas nefila, it was there, and the machloikis was niskal paisheya. The second machloikis was mafkin chasav or not. Like Reb Meir, mafkin is chasav is chayiv, and therefore, if he didn't clean up the pieces when he had time to clean up the pieces, he chayiv. Like Reb Meir, like Reb Yehuda, miskavin you be chayiv, ain't miskavin you be potter. So if mafkin nechasav what is potter, like Reb Yehuda, where's miskaven in mafkin nechasav that you chayiv? Again, you have to learn the machloikis in both two. You have two cases, guys. You have case number one, it gets damaged by the water, our Mishnah. Case number two, you're getting damaged by the pieces, which is the mafkin nechasav, right? So I keep on saying nechasav, mafkin nizakav, excuse me. So it says the Gemara. Mafkin nizakav, in the case of mafkin nizakav, where is the miskavin that Rabbi Yehuda hold Yechayev? Rabbi Yosef miskavin l'zakos b'charsecha. In other words, he was miskavin to be zeiche in the broken pieces. So in other words, he wanted the pieces. So if he doesn't want the pieces, guys, mafkin nizakav is what is chayev. If he wants the pieces, not mafkin nizakav. Miskavin l'zakos b'charsecha. Good. So that's the. Let's go over it. Let's go over it. Our Mishnah says the following. My Mishnah says the person's card breaks Rabim. Someone gets damaged in the water, then you chayiv. Someone gets damaged in the pieces, you chayiv. Right? That was the Mishnah. Right? Says Rabbi Yehuda, it depends. Miskaven or a miskaven. Miskaven you chayiv, a miskaven you are potter. What's the machlokes? What's the machlokes between the two? Says the Abaya. There's two machlokes over here. One that the damage b'shas nefila that's speaking about the water. One ach nefila that's speaking about what where mafka nizokov you get damaged in the broken pieces. Within each one, A and B, we have machlokes Rabbi Yehuda and Reb Meir. What's the machlokes by slipping, whether niskal pasheya or lav pasheya? It says Reb Meir niskal pasheya. So I don't care how that water got there. If you tripped and it got there, miskaven and miskaven doesn't make a difference. You're chayev. Says Rabbi Yehuda, it depends. Niskal lav pasheya. So if I slipped, I'm potter. If miskaven, whoever had kavanah to break it, then I'm chayev. That's the machlokes in part A. Part B. Part B is you're getting damaged by the pieces. Mafkin is zakov. Okay, so mafkin is zakov. Like Reb Meir, if a person's mafkin is zakov, you chayev. Like Rabbi Yehuda, it depends. Bim miskaven you chayev, a miskaven you potter. Good, a miskaven because mafkin is zakov. That's not the bar that the Torah is speaking about. That's not the bar that the Torah is speaking about. However, according to miskaven, I'm miskaven for the pieces, and therefore I'm being mafkin is zakov. Then I would be what? I would be chayiv. So Baruch Hashem, we spoke at, I think, quite well, machlokes between the two. Yes, Harold.
Mafkin is sachav. According to Reb Meir, I don't fully agree. I have a truck on the highway, public area. The goods fall off the truck, and I'm mafkir it. How can I just walk away without responsibility? How can I be mafkir something that I own?
Reb Meir says you're chayiv.
Right, you're chayiv. So I don't understand how he would say chayiv for that. I mean, I have responsibility to clean it up. How can I be mafkir something I caused the damage, whether I did it, I did it with kavanah or not? I don't understand the logic.
So you don't understand. You don't understand why you're potter. You understand
why you potter. Yeah, I don't understand why you're potter.
You don't understand. You don't understand. You don't understand. Okay, I'll tell you, Pshat. In order to be really, this is not the main sugya of bar. The main sugya of bar is in the main sugya of bar is in Shoshnagar Sapara. It's later on. That's the main sugya of bar. That's the main sugya of bar. Good. When you think of a bar, here's what you think of the following, as Heshi just said. If I go ahead and put an obstacle down in Rishus Harabim, hey, 1 second, I'm chayiv. After all, I have no right to do that. Now, that's not exactly true. That's not exactly true. There is a machlokes. What is, when the Torah says, kiyiftach yishbar or kiyich yishbar, what exactly is that case? So we're going to have a machlokes. We touched upon it before, Daf Mem Tes. Is the bar shechayiv Torah speaking b'rshusay, meaning I dug a bar in my rishus, I had total rishus to do it. Then I was mafka my whole rishus. So I dug a bar in my rishus, and I was mafka my rishus. So like that man the Omar, that's the bar that we're talking about. But if I dig a bar in rishus harabim, I'm not the bal habar. I don't own the rishus harabim. To be chayiv, to be the bar, you have to be the bal habar. So if I don't own it, I'm not the Baal HaBar. So in Svara, you would think that, come on, 1 second, how can you go ahead and do this? And the answer is that I'm not the Baal HaBar. If I'm not the Baal HaBar, I can't be Chayev. Because in order to be Chayev, you have to be Baal HaBar. So the one who says that you'll be Pater Rishus Harabim, Harold, would hold that's not the bar that the Torah is talking about. The bar that's talking about is where you had Rishus to do it, right? You have Rishus to do it over here, you dug it, and then you were Mafki in the Chasav. And that's the bar. So again, it's not, it really, the main sugya is later on, but again, it's not, the svara of bar is not so simple that we say, simple. You see over here, there's a svara of mafkin nezakov, a person, I don't understand. You're walking along, why do you have to bring the case to the truck? And forget the truck. I'm walking along, this breaks, it's now in Rishus Harabim, I don't clean it up, I walk away. Why am I pata? Right, that's Ikasha. And the answer is that's not the bar that the Torah is mechayiv me. I'm not the Baal HaBar. I'm not the Baal HaBar. So good it happened, and good I had a chance to clean it up, but stuff happens. Okay, but as Hashem, we'll get more into it, but be aware there's the big machlokes exactly what the bar is. There is a daya that the bar that the bar that you're talking about is Einachinami and Rishus. We're going to see this on the Amid base. We're going to get more into the Amid base. That something's not in your Rishus, the Torah puts in your Rishus. We're going to see this on the Amid base. That's Machlokas Tanoim. But again, we just have to learn one pshat. This is pshat in Rabbi Yehuda. Mafkin Echosav is potter, and less miskavin than miskavin over here. What I was miskavin, then it's mine still, and therefore you chayv. But that's such an opinion. Does that help you out? Okay, good. Says the Gemara Vayt. Now, so Rabbi Lezer Omer, b'shas nefila is the machlokes. Rabbi Lezer says the whole machlokes between Reb Meir and the Chachamim is b'shas nefila. Rabbi Yehuda is b'shas nefila when it fell. That's the machlokes b'shas nefila. Aval la'ach nefila mai, after it falls mai, diriyah called potter. You're going to say everyone is potter. Aivo ikar Reb Meir the mechayev. Reb Meir says the mechayev. Why did Reb Meir say above, guys? Am the sakinu nishbra kadai. Right, the first case, guys, on the Omid base. Go back to the Omid base. Nishbra kadai v'le silkoi, nafel gam loy v'lemidu. Reb Meir mechayev. Reb Meir is mechayev. Now, you want to tell me that b'shas nefila is machloikas, but after nefila, right, that you everyone says you potter. Reb Meir says you chayev. After nefila, he says you chayev. So that can't be pshat there can't be pshat in our Mishnah based upon machloikas in the Brisa. Elamai divrei hakol, you can say divrei hakol chayiv. Machloikas is b'shas nefila, but ach nefila, like Heshi wants to say that across the board everyone holds you chayiv. Vikar Rabbanan the patre. The Rabbanan said what above in the Brisa, guys. The Rabbanan in the Brisa said clearly a pata. So l'chayra, what's the pshat in Rabbi Eliezer? Again, Rabbi Elazar wants to say there's a difference between Shas Nefila and Shloi Shas Nefila, right? We want to say B'Shas Nefila is the Machlokes, Shloi B'Shas Nefila, either everyone says Chayv, everyone says Yipoter. That can't be the Machlokes. Elamai B'Shas Nefila, Ach B'Shas Nefila. Meaning, the Machlokes is, of course, after Nefila, and there's even the Machlokes B'Shas Nefila. In other words, guys, Rabbi Elazar is agreeing with Abaya that there's two separate cases, and they argue in both cases. In case A, right, achnafila. Case B, achnafila, and af b'shas nafila, they have a machlekes. Ukamash malon ki abaya, and Rabbi Elazar is substantiating abaya. He's substantiating abaya. And he's substantiating. He's substantiating. Guys, good. Guys, again, it's a cheshbin, dika cheshbin. I think I set it up well. Again, if you have any questions, anyone can always call me, but we have to go weiter because this you can really spend a lot of time on this Gemara. Okay, Amid Beis. Rabbi Yochanan Amar. So we had Rabbi Elazar's pshat that he agreed with Abaya that the machlokes is in two separate cases, b'shas nefila, ach nefila. Rabbi Yochanan Amar la'ach nefila machlokes. The machlokes is after nefila. Machlokes is after nefila. Al b'shas nefila mai. Now we're going to go through. We're going to say what Divya kol pata. But when the come Rabbi Yochanan l'kaman, Rabbi Yochanan is going to say later on, loy teimim asnisa Reb Meir. Don't say the Mishnah is Reb Meir. Dama niskal peisheyahu. Now is mechlal the Reb Meir mechayev. Guys, right? Mechal Reb Meir is mechayev. So how can you tell me that Divya kol would say yipata b'shas nefila? If Reb Meir holds this niskal peisheya, yichayev b'shas nefila. Elamai Divya kol chayev. We're going to say, everyone says yichayev. When say the chachamim say niskal ap peisheya. But when the come Rabbi Yochanan come like Tem Masisra Mei, Dama Niskal B'Shehu, Mechal de Pater Rabbanon. So what did Rabbi Yochanan mean? That says that there's no machlokes. The machlokes is after nefila. Again, Rabbi Elazar said machlokes is b'shas nefila. He says machlokes is after nefila. El hakamash malon. The mafkin the zakav the hacha who the patri Rabbanon. Mafkin the zakav that's when the Rabbanon pata the honest who. Avol mafkin the zakav the alma mechayev. But mafkin the zak of the alma, then he be mechayev. In answer to Heshi's question, guys, Rabbi Yochanan says the following: can I make a distinction between this breaking in my hand, the pieces falling on the floor, versus me going ahead, taking it and breaking it on the floor and leaving it there? Can you make a distinction? What would you say if you could talk and you wouldn't be muted? Right? What would you say? You would say, of course. where it break ba'onis, the bar was created machmer sanoinis. So if I'm mafkin is zakav in that case, I'm potter. Masha Enkain, if you would go ahead, right? Masha Enkain, if you would go ahead, break it and create the bar, even your mafka afterwards, it doesn't help. So Rabbi Yochanan is telling us a chiddush that the machloikis is acha nefila. That's the machloikis. That's when the chacham say you potter if you're mafkin the zakav. Right? Masha Enkain, right? The chacham would agree if you go ahead and create the bar. You create the bar. Right? You dafka dig the bar. Actually, your case of the truck and the stuff falling out, you know why you potter? I didn't mean to create it. It was an honest that happened. Masha'en Kain, if I would have gone ahead, stopped the truck in the highway, opened the stuff up, thrown it out, then closed it and taken off, everyone would hold you chayiv. So there's a difference in the creation of the bar. That's the chiddush. One more time. Elaha kamash malon. The mafkin is zakav the hacha. Who the pacha rabbanon? You know why? The honest who? Because it was created machmas and honest. Avol mafkin is zakav the alma. If he broke it on purpose, he opened up his truck on purpose. He broke that picture on purpose. Mechayive, even the chacham say yichayiv. Guys, you good? Now we're going to get into the machlokes about being mafkin is zakav. Stamasai itmar mafkin is zakav. Rabbi Yochanan and Rabbi Elazar chana mechayiv chana mepata. We have machlokes gedoyle Amaroyim, Rabbi Yochanan, and his star Talmud, Rabbi Elazar ben Padas, right? Rabbi Elazar ben Padas, Talmud Elazar ben Padas. Now, lema manda mechayev kreb meya. Let's say the one is mechayev holds like Reb Meya. There's no difference between what la'achan afila be miskavin l'shem miskavin umanda mekirabanon, and the one who says the what that you put holds like the rabbanon. In other words, I'm sorry, the brisa, not the Mishnah, the brisa. The brisa, the chacham say you potter. So let's say the one that says mafkin is zakav is potter is the chachamim. The one that says mafkin is zakav is chayiv is the rabbana. And we don't know who says what. We don't know where Rabbi Yochanan holds. We don't know where Rabbi Elazar holds. Right now, at this point in time, we're going to suggest, guys, Rabbi Elazar holds you chayiv and Rabbi Yochanan holds you potter. And in the end, we're going to end up Rabbi Yochanan holds you chayiv and Rabbi Elazar holds you potter. So again, I'm giving you the end. I'm giving you the last page of the book, right? Now you're reading the book. I'm giving you the last page of the book. Here's the last page of the book. Mafkin is zakov. One says chayiv, one says potter. Initially, we're going to say Rabbi Elazar's one says chayiv, and Rabbi Yochanan says potter. In the end, it's going to be Rabbi Yochanan says chayiv, and Rabbi Elazar says potter. Good. Says the Gemara. Umanda potter rabban. I'll leave it to Rabbi Meir Kuli Amlei Pligi. There's no machlokes. Everyone holds the country Rabbi Meir chayiv. Guys, this called Pasheya Mafkin is zakov. It doesn't make a difference. Rabbi Meir says chayiv. Keep pligi. Where's the machlokes between the Amaroyim, Rabbi Yochanan, and Rabbi Elazar? I'll leave it to Rabbanon. The machlokes is I'll leave it to Rabbanon. Man de potter. One says the potter is Rabbanon, who said that in the brayso that you potter, right? If nishbra kadai, guys, let's go through it, guys. Nishbra kadai or nafel gamloi, and we said there's two machlokes in over there, because again the brayso mirrors our Mishnah, and one is speaking the case. One of the cases is Achanafila. If it's speaking Achanafila, it must be speaking Mafkin Nizakov, that is Mafkin Nizakov. So it'd be Mafka the pieces or Mafka the camel. In that case, Rabbi Meir says Yechayev. The Chum say Yipat Medina Yadam Chayim Medina Shemayim. So in that case, over there, like Rabbi Meir, there's no machlokes. Rabbi Elazar and Rabbi Yochanan agree in Rabbi Meir. Where do they argue? In the Chachamim. In the Chachamim who say Yipat Medina Yadam Chayim Medina Shemayim, one of the Amoroyim, Rabbi Yochanan or Rabbi Elazar says Yechayev, the other one says Yipata. That's your setup. Good. Uman Mechayev Amalach Anodam Yafil Rabbanan. The one that says that Yipata is very good, like the Chachamim. The one that says that Yechayev holds like I can say you. Anodam Yafil Rabbanan. Ad kan like Pacha Rabbanan Ela b'Mafkin Nizakov the Hacha Mishum the Anasu. When the Rabbanan say over there you were an honest. The camel fell, but you were an honest. The pitcher broke, you were an honest. Aval Mafkin Nizakov the Alma. If you broke it, it didn't come out on an honest. Mechayve, then you'd be Mechayev. Good. So now again we have this distinction. The brisa that had the machlokes is speaking where the bar was created through an action of an honest. It broke in my hand, it ended on the ground. But if I would break it, then everyone holds Yechayev. Then it now. So who holds what? Okay, says the Gemara. Here you go. Mistayim, the Rebbe Elazar Huda Mechayev. that Rabbi Lazar must be the one who says what? That you chayev. The Amar Rabbi Lazar, Mishum Rabbi Yishmael, Shnei Devarim Eina B'Shush Saladam. The two things that are not in the B'Shush of a person. V'asana Kosav Kilohim B'Shusay. And the Torah makes it as if it's in your B'Shush. The Eluhain, what are they? Bar B'Shush Arabim, V'chametz Mishei Shoy Sulamayla. Now, we know that if a person is not Mavatal Chametz, right, the Torah takes it out of your B'Shush. The Torah, it says, V'layiror L'cha. The Isra B'Yiror B'Yimatza is L'cha, your Chametz. If you don't get rid of it, the Torah puts it in your Rishus as if it's yours. Bar, I dug a bar Rishus Arabim. I'm not a Bala bar, like I told Heshi. The Torah will put it back in your Rishus. So the Man Da'ama who says Mafkin is Zakov is Chayiv is because even though I was Mafkirit, you know what the Torah does? It puts it back by me. It makes me the Bala bar. Who said this memra, guys? Who said this memra? Look, the Amar Rabbi Laza, Mishum Rabbi Yishmael, names are important. That Rabbi Lazar says in the name of Rabbi Yishmael, that what? That even though the bar is not mine, why is it not mine? Because I was mafkarit. What does the Torah do? It puts it back by me. So Memela, who's the Manda Oma, the Amoira, who says Yechayev by Mafkin Izakov? It must be Rabbi Elazar. And Memela, Rabbi Yochanan is the one that says Yipata. Umi Amarel is a hachi, Fred the Gemara. The Razlaz say you're the one that says Yechayiv. V'Amar Valaza Ibcha Tanam. We have the opposite. The opposite. Mishnah and Daf Lamed. HaHoifich es HaGolol. You have this excrement in Rishus Harabim, could be used for fertilizer, and you turn it over. Hoifich is lashon, you turn it over. Rishus Harabim. Now, is that a bar Rishus Harabim, guys? Excrement in Rishus Harabim. Is that a bar Rishus Harabim? I would say it's even more than that. I would say it's like a IED, right? It's really dangerous, right? It's a bar. And what do? Now, l'chayr it's hefker, or somebody else left it there, and you go ahead and you turn it over. For huzik behen acher, and another person gets damaged, chayev b'niskay. You chayev. By you turning it over, it's mashma that what? You are now the balabar, using our yisoid heshi, right? You're the balabar, you turned it over. Now you didn't put it there, it was there. You went ahead and turned it over. Of Amar Rabbi Laza, leishanu elshan iskavin lizakos behen. You know when? That's only if your kavana was to go ahead and be seich in it. Avaloi niskavin lizakos behen. But if you weren't, you didn't have that kavana, then you'd be potter. Alma mafkin nizakov potter. You see that what? Right? A person's mafkin nizakov is potter. Or else, guys, why would you need to be koina in order to be chayev? In other words, in order for me to be chayev by this golol, I would have to make a kinyan in it, make it mine. Mashma without a kinyan, right? It's not mine. But one second, if mafkin nizakov is chayev, why would I have to make a kinyan? The fact that I picked it up should go ahead and say, oh, you know what? Do bis to balabar. Ella must be that what? Reb Elazar holds you be pata. So now we have a problem in Reb Elazar. Reb Elazar introduced in the name of Rabbi Shmuel that the two things that are not in your Rishus. And the Torah puts in your Rishus, let's leave chametz. That's not our sugya now. Bar is one of them. You see over here that mafkin is zakov, a person is pata. The person's pata. Right? Why? Because he needed to be zoichet to be his in order to be mechayev me. Amar Avina, Amar Avada Rava, Shechsir l'mekayma. You know what? It's speaking over here where he returned it to its place. In other words, guys, you know what we thought? Watch, guys, watch. If I would have picked up this golol and put it in another place, I'd be chayev. Why? Because I undermined the original guy who put it there, and I recreated it where what? Where I put it. It was in point B. I put it in point A. I didn't go ahead and make any kinyan whatsoever. I simply put it over there. Good. So in that case, you would not have to be zeich in it. That case, you would not need me to be zeich in it. Why? Because I created the bar. If I created the bar, what does Rebbe Elazar hold? Even though stam golol is hefker, the Torah goes ahead and puts it back on my rishus. So now Rebbe Lazar is good. He's good. He says, if you're mafkin the Zokov, the Torah puts in Yerushas Yechayev. I over here, why over here by this Golol am I need to be Zeichen it? Because I didn't make the bar. I didn't make the bar. The guy who put it there made the bar. What did I do? I just turned it over and left it in the same spot. Since I left it in the same spot, I didn't do anything to create it. So I'm not the Balabar. It's the original guy. So Mela, it's very good. You had a question, Mafkin the Zakov, like Rebbe Loza, is Chayiv, because he says there are two things that are not Yerushas the Torah puts it in. That stays consistent. The Mishnah that we're describing now on Daf Lamed, that we're explaining now, is speaking where I didn't recreate the bar. I just took the bar, picked it up, and put the bar back in its place. So it's still the original guy's bar. And therefore, that's why I'm Potter. If, on the other hand, if I would have been Mechaven to go ahead and be kind of it, then already I own it. It's my bar, and therefore I'm Chayiv. Heshi, I saw your hand going. What's the story?
I was just going to think, because Gol is a dover, it's a usual thing in the Rosh Hashanah as opposed to something else.
But it's
so
still
it's a big chiddush.
It's not a chiddush at all, because all I need is something that is an obstacle that is ownerless. That's all I need.
Yeah, because you can find Gol anyways. It's just something Matsuya. It's
make a
Matsuya.
difference. That Matsuya has nothing to do with bar. Bar has to do with chilas asiyas lenezek.
Okay.
The time it was there was there to do damage, right? What the commonality of a bar, you'd be correct, but the halacha of the bar, there is no difference. It's not mishuna. Okay. Your svar is a svar of mishuna, that it's less mishuna than something else, right?
Yeah.
That's a din in Karen. It's not a din in bar. Says the Gemara Vaita. Okay, so you're telling me that you went ahead and you put it back in its spot, like Ravada Barava, and therefore, since you put it back in the spot, you didn't recreate the bar. Now, Ravina, Mashal de Ravada Barava, the Mashal of Ravada Barava, Lamaha David Doime, what's it comparable to? Lemoitzi Bar Megula, Vikiseu, V'chaza V'gilehu. Okay, I come along, I find a pothole cover. It's a bar that's covered up. I uncover it, and then I recover it. So the same thing over here. I come along, I find a bar, I pick it up, and I put it back. So therefore, who's chayiv in this case? The original person who dug the bar, right? I found the manhole cover off. I found it off, guys, right? What happened? I think I said the case wrong. I found it off. I covered it up, and then I took it off again. So there was a bar that Ruvain was chayiv. I took it off Ruvain, and then I put it back. Good. So that's the case of Ma'adav Doina. So the original line would be chayiv. Amali Mazucha Breder Rav Mari L'Ravina Midami Hasam Lo Yistalik Lu Ma'aser Rishon. Over there, when the original guy dug the manhole, you didn't take away his ma'aser. You didn't take away his ma'aser. When you had and covered it up, it's still there. When you uncovered it, it's still there. Now, the original bar that was there is still there. Good. Hacha, but by the galol, it's staliklu ma'aser rishon. When you picked it up, you know what you did? You removed it totally. It doesn't exist anymore. When you picked it up, you recreated it. By the bar that was uncovered and you covered, you didn't do anything to the bar. The bar was always there. You did an external thing to the bar, and then you took away the external thing. So the original guy is chayev. Your case, when you picked it up, you removed the bar from Rishus Rabbin completely, guys. When you put it back down, you recreated it. So if you want to say Ravada Barava, if you want to say that mashal is not a good mashal, you know what the mashal is a good mashal, guys? The mashal would be if you took the bar, you filled it up, and then you unfilled it. When you filled it up, you removed the bar, and then you recreated it. Says the Gemara, very geshmak. Elam Ravashi, Holei Dami, you want a comparable? Elamaitzi bar megula, v'timu v'chazav v'chafru. The stalik lu ma'aser rishon, the kaimeloi b'rishusay. So therefore, the question is, why would there need to be kaina, right? If I need to create it, right? If you're telling me I recreated it by putting it down, I should be chayav. Guys, if I picked it up, It's not there anymore, right? The bar is not there. When I put it down, who made the bar? Me. Question. So why did Rabbi Elazar say like shanu that I'm chayiv only if I'm koine it, right? Even if I'm not koine it, I should be chayiv. That's the kasha. Because I made it. That's the Gemara's kasha. One more time. You want to tell me that this case, the case, if I put it back in its spot, therefore you need a kinyan, right? Fred the Gemara, 1 second. If I picked it up and put it back in its spot, what do I need a kinyan for? As soon as I elevated it off the ground, there's no more bar there. When I put it back, when I took it off the ground, the guy who put it there in the first place is out of the window. The bar is gone. When I put it back on the ground, in a case, if I found the bar, filled it up, and then dug it out again, everyone would hold I'm chayiv for digging it out again. So too over here, everyone should hold I'm chayiv for me putting it back down again. Fred the Gemara, why do you need Rabbi Elazar to say that you're kind of the bar in order to be mechayiv, even without being kind of the bar, I should be chayiv? Why? Because I made the bar. Because when I lifted it up, it's gone. That's the Gemara's kasha. And for the Gemara, Ella Amar Avashi, you need a new case, guys. The case is kishahaflu lepachas mishleisha. You know what you did? You lifted it up, you turned it over, less than 3. Why do you know about 3? When you say the word 3, what comes to your mind? Lavud, right? What comes to mind is lavud. So it means that what? I never picked it up off the ground. If I never picked it up off the ground, the only way I can be chayiv is when? If I'm kind of it. Because if I didn't pick it up off the ground, it's still in the rishus of the original balabar. By the way, derech agav, fellas, over here we have machlokes Rashi and Tosfos about hagbah. Like Rashi, over here you have a raya, you need hagbah has to be over 3. Like Tosfos could be a koldu. There's a big machlokes over here. Right? We saw the machlokes once before. This is it's over here. It's a little late to do it, but there's machlokes Rashi and Tosfos here. Good. If you have any time in Shabbos, let's do the second Tosfos in the bottom. It's Kishmak Tosfos. Now, so therefore, very good. The reason why Rabbi Elazar says, in order to make me the balabar, is that what? That it was less than 3. The time of the chiyaskav l'zakis pa ha'im eskav l'zakis pa loy. I want you to say the following: Look me l'mayl me gimel the afagav l'im eskav l'zakis pa chayev. Guys, what do you want to do, fellas? The Mishnah said that the Mishnah Daf Lamed said that if you go ahead and you turn over Golem Shasarabim, you're chayev. Good? So in other words, you became the balabar. The way we're saying you became the balabar was you lifted it up less than 3 and you had kavona to be kaina. Let me give you a better case, easier case. I had no kavona at all. I picked it up above 3. What happens automatically? I'm the balabar, right? And so Fred the Gemara, why did Rebbe Elazar find to go ahead and zetzain the Mishnah and Daf Lamed in such a convoluted case where he was less than 3 and he's miskavein to be koina in order to become the balabar? I can make him the balabar in a much easier way. If he picked it up above 3, automatically he's the balabar without his kavana. Why didn't Rebbe Elazar say the Mishnah and Daf Lamed is speaking that Metzias in that case? Gavaldiga kasha. Fred the Gemara. Umay tuchad Rebbe Elazar look me kegoin shahafcha lepachos megimel the timer the chi niskaven the zakispa haim niskaven the zakispa loy look me lamayla megimel sets it on he picked it up above gimel the afagav loy niskaven the zakispa, and even though what he didn't have kavanah to be zeich in it, he be chayev. Amarava maslisan kashista. The lashon of the Mishnah was difficult to Rebbe Elazar. My area hafach listening higbia. What's the lashon of the Mishnah, guys? The lashon of the Mishnah was what? Ha-hoifich es ha-golol. Why didn't it says ha-hogbes ha-golol? Someone lifts it up. Why ha-hoifich? The mela hoifich means what? He just turned it over. Therefore, he had to go ahead and say it couldn't be the kinyan of hagbah because it says hoifich. So therefore, he had his zetzanai where he had kavan. El-shmamino kol hoifich lamata mishloishahu. And he hoifich lamata what? Mishloishahu. Now, guys, so let's ferois. Let's ferois. Mafkin Zakov, one says chayiv, one says potter. Rabbi Yochanan, we don't know who said what. We're establishing the Rebbe Elazar is the one who said chayiv in the name of Rabbi Shmuel. So it must be Rabbi Yochanan is the one that says pata, correct? Good. It says Rabbi Loza Amar Chayev, Rabbi Yochanan Amar pata. Correct. The Gemara Mi Amar Rabbi Yochanan Hachi that you pata betnan. Hamatznias hakoitz vesaschuchis. Someone he hides his thorns or his glass in shusarabim. Va'agoyde gidroi bekaitzim. Someone makes a gather instead of stone, he makes it out of thorns. The gather shenafel shusarabim, or a stone that fell onto shusarabim. V'huzlik behenacher, another person gets damaged. Is chayev beniskay. You're chayev al spor. Vom Rabbi Yochanan loishanu elam mafriach. The only if it sticks out into the shusarabim. Avon mitzamseim. But if you go ahead and you would be mitzamseim to your own rishus pater. Mitzamseim my time of pater. La mishum dahavelei bar b'shusay. Machal dechi of the bar b'shusarabim hu. If you, the reason why mitzamseim your pater is because it's not bar anymore, because it belongs in your rishus. Mashma the bar b'shusarabim, mafkin the zakov, bar b'shusarabim, you'll be chayev. That's the kasha. Rabbi Loss, we asked the ten. Rabbi Loss is the one who said you chayev. Rabbi Yochanan must be in your pata. You see from over here, Rabbi Yochanan must hold you are chayev. Alma mafkin the zakov chayev. Says Merloi, loy l'meim loch. I'll tell you mafkin the zakov pata. When some say my time of pata, not because bar is mishusarabim, is mishusarabim, but mishum deid marlo. Rabbi Acha breidu Rav Ika b'shein darken shel b'nei adam l'schachik b'ksolim. This guy is pashal nafshe. He's walking along and he's rubbing against your wall and he gets damaged. That's his problem. That's because it's not a bar. He's coming along and it's who the pashal nafshe. Now back to so now guys we held serve, right? The Rabbi Yochanan is the one who said pata, and Rabbi Elazar is the one that's chayev. Now guys, we're going to prove that Rabbi Elazar holds chayev, and it must be the one that Rabbi Elazar holds is pata. Umiyam Rabbi Yochanan hachi that mafkin zakov is pata. Vam Rabbi Yochanan halacha kistam mishnah. Rabbi Yochanan says the halacha is always like an anonymous mishnah. The Tanan, and we learned hachayfa bar b'shusarabim, v'nafel esleichei shara chamar umeis chayev. Guys, that's classic bar. Where did he dig it? In b'shusarabim. Stam b'shusarabim, a person's mafka is nechasa. Stam Mishnah says that what? A bar b'shusarabim is chayev as al's bar, right? So mafkin is zakov. I assume if you dug a bar, you will mafker it, and you chayev. It's a Stam Mishnah. Who holds like that? Rabbi Yochanan. So you got a problem. You told me Rabbi Yochanan, since Rabbi Loss is the one who holds you chayev, must be Rabbi Yochanan who holds you pata. Here we see Rabbi Yochanan is the one who holds you chayev, based upon the Stam Mishnah. Says you see right. El Elolam Rabbi Yochanan machayev. Umid Rabbi Yochanan machayev, Rabbi Loss pata. Rabbi Loss says you pata. Guys, how can you tell me that Rabbi Loss says the one you pata? You said in the name of Rabbi Shmuel, Shnei Dvarim Sheini B'Shusay Shel Adam, V'Asa Kosav Kila B'Shusay. Bar b'shusarabim v'chametz m'shei shoyes l'mayla. So you see, Rabbi Elazar said what? That you're chayev. So how can you tell me how he says this pata? Amid Aleph. V'Omer Oz Mishum Rabbi Shmuel loy kasha hadidei haderabe. Rabbi Elazar the emes holds that what? You're pata. You know why? Because bar is b'shusay, not b'shusarabim. Bar is b'shusay. Bar b'shusarabim is pata. Hamafkan zakav is pata. Shnei Dvarim Shein B'Shusay. Amar Rabbi Elazar Mishum in the name of Rabbi Yishmael. Rabbi Yishmael is the one who holds you chayev, but he in Nachmanami holds you pata. Mazel tov to Eliezer Stern and his Rebbitzin Ruthie Stern on the bar mitzvah of Malkiel Yecheskel Neumann. Maybe Zeicha in the ways of his father Rabbi Neumann and be Zeicha to become a true Elech Yid. Muchter in Torah and Yerushalayim, and I share my simcha with all of you.
Amen.
Amen. Anyone who's local, Ari, very local. Chafetz Chaim, 4th floor. We're not going to dive. You don't have to, and you don't have to dive in either. You go up to the 4th floor, and you could indulge in a little bit.
Ari, just make sure.